Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the damn podcast channel. If you're seeing this and you're seeing the podcast channel, over here we go over headlines, we go live, we do that kind of a thing. My other channel, the main channel, which is where you might be used to seeing me, that's where I do deeper dives, longer form content, that type of thing. So just make sure you are subscribed to both channels if you want to see more of me. As always, I want to say thank you to everybody who makes these channels possible. They would not be here without you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now today we're going to be going over a few different headlines, a few different case updates, that kind of a thing. And after I go over those and like just kind of get out the facts of them or whatever, I'm going to offer up some of my thoughts, opinions, all that kind of stuff on it. So stay tuned. Okay, so first up is Lori Daybell. So recently the judge overseeing the case, he denied requests coming from Chad Daybell's attorneys to have two of the prosecutors removed from the case. So John Pryor, that's his attorney, he had filed two motions back in March, and he was asking the judge's name is Judge Stephen Boyce, to disqualify the prosecuting attorney Rob Wood. Now he also had filed a couple of different motions wanting to disqualify Rachel Smith. Now she is the special prosecutor. She's helping out Wood and all that kind of stuff in the case. Now here's the thing. So this last Tuesday, the judge should have come back and he said, we ain't having all that. The attorneys are going to stay on the case. So all that remains. There is that. Now, also, we don't really know why that went on or like what was the reasoning behind this, because these motions were sealed. Also, the trial is still stand to set or take place in January of 2023. So we're going to hang tight for that. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next headline I want to cover. The next headline we're covering is from the Los Angeles Times, and it's titled "Parole Denied Again for Manson Follower Bruce Davis in 1969 Murders." Now the article is written by Don Thompson. He's with the Associated Press, and this went out July 8th. So just like the title says, the California panel did deny the parole for Bruce Davis. Now he's been recommended, just like these other Manson followers, numerous times, and it says 7 times here in the article, but they've been rejected by the 3 consecutive governors. And it says that the parole commissioners told the 79-year-old Davis to try again in 3 years, but it also noted that he lacks empathy. I definitely have a few things to say about that whole scenario, so stay tuned. Now I wanted to go over this real quick, and this is an update that there is not an update, unfortunately, but it's just to bring awareness. And this is to the little boy Deor Kunz. He disappeared, y'all. This is the 7th anniversary of his disappearance. He disappeared July 10th, 2015. His family was visiting the Timber Creek campground. He was with his parents, Jessica Mitchell and Vernell Deor Kunz, and Deor's great grandfather Robert Walton and Isaac Reinward, a friend of Walton's, were also on the trip. Y'all, the pictures I'm putting up here are like a age, lapse or whatever, what he might look like or whatever. Obviously, if anyone ever has any information, contact the phone numbers. They are below in the description. This is just a sad case all around. There's been so many things done on this case out there, on YouTube, on, crime channels, like regular TV, all this kind of stuff. It's just a baffling case, and at the center of it is a little boy who 7 years is still missing. My heart goes out to him and everybody who loved and cared for this little boy. Okay, now let's move on to a case that has the country, I don't know about the world, but at least, the country, the internet, captivated, and that is of Dylan Rounds. He is still missing, but it looks like things are coming a little bit more under the microscope, and we might be getting answers soon. So let's talk about a couple, like a press release and a couple of articles. So first of all, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office and the FBI did put out a joint press release, and they were talking about just kind of an update or whatever. Now it does say in here, I'm just going to go over like kind of an imperative point of, an important part of this a joint release. It says the current totality of information gathered from many interviews and searches, along with the analysis of both physical evidence and forensic data, has identified James Brenner as a suspect. He is currently being held in the Weber County Jail on unrelated federal firearm charges, but no criminal charges have been filed specifically regarding the Dylan Rounds case. So now on that one, at the time of this recording, which I'm recording this on July 11th in the morning, you might be seeing it later in the day, it still stands as that, right? But we don't know. Maybe something could happen at that point. But let's talk a little bit further about him and about a couple of other things. So first of all, let's just go over what's taken place with him. Yes, he did appear in federal court on firearms violations. He did plead not guilty to the charges against him. Now, he also has an outstanding warrant from Box Elder County, where this is like he allegedly used a lawn chair to attack a man or something. And he's also served time for the big ol' attempted murder. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Now, Brenner was denied bail and he was sent back to the county jail. His trial is set for September, but he's also going to be going to state court on Monday, so that's today, the time of the recording, in Box Elder County, where he's facing more gun violations. Now, like I said earlier, he was squatting or, near or on Dylan's property that was adjacent to Dylan. And the U.S. attorney is saying, like, look, this guy was, he had no right to be there to begin with, right? Now, according to Dylan's mother, she said that he helped Dylan out at the farm. She also said that his boots were found near where Brenner was staying on the son's property. They just seemed kind of tossed there. And she did, when talking to some reporters and stuff afterwards, was basically like, I think that this guy snapped and did something to Brenner. I think we're going to find the answers that we're looking for within this dude, right? And so we very well could, because this case is just completely bizarre in how it's all unraveled and taken place, but so many missing person cases are, right? And last but certainly least is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Y'all, Amber can't keep her damn name out of the streets, okay? So we're going to go over a couple of different articles about what's going on with them as of lately. It seems to change every day. So the first one is from TMZ. It says, insurance company says you willfully screwed Johnny, so we're not paying the judgment. I'm just going to go over a couple of quick little facts about that scenario. So basically Amber is saying, no, I want the insurance company to pay what I owe Johnny, all that kind of stuff. And the insurance company is coming back and saying, hello, absolutely not, because guess what? There is some stipulations, there's a clause, there's some wording that essentially is saying, you know what, you caused this to happen, therefore we don't have to pay out. Now that main word that we're talking about is willful misconduct, and that's basically what they're saying is like, look, this is, you were found guilty to have done this and it was malice, this kind of a thing. This is going to be a whole other issue that goes on with her, but there are other issues. So Amber Heard's lawyers also want the case thrown out, right? And they're citing a juror issue. So let's talk about a couple of key points with that. So they're saying that juror number 15 was not the individual summoned for jury duty on April 11th, 2022, and therefore was not part of the jury panel and could not have properly served on the jury at this trial. Now, basically the article is sitting here saying that there's a Virginia home where two people with the same name reside. The document says the person summoned is 77 years old, but the person who actually showed up is 52. So they're like, yeah, that's not the right person, this shouldn't have happened, so on and so forth. Now, also you can imagine that basically they're coming down saying, we want a new trial, and God help us if that happens. Now, Mr. Johnny Depp is not keeping silent either. He's coming out with a hate album. So, Johnny Depp has that band, the Hollywood Vampires. They're actually getting ready to drop an album, I think, this week, and going on tour, all this kind of stuff, right? So they're coming out with a new album, and it's like heavily influenced with what was going on with Amber. Alright, look at Taylor Swift, she does the same thing, right? So we made this album with British guitarist Jeff Beck, and I'm just going to go over a couple of the lyrics and whatnot here. So one lyric he says, I think you've said enough for one MFing night. So on one song it's called Sad MFing Parade, and he sings, you're sitting there like a dog with a 7-year itch. Then he says, if I had a dime, it wouldn't reach your hand. Just little jabs like this and whatnot throughout these songs and everything. So it's going to be funny to see how that goes. Okay, so let's go over some of my thoughts, opinions, that kind of thing on the cases. Lori, Daybell, all that. My God, can we just not get them under the damn jail or to the big fryer, right? Come on. I pray that nothing holds the case up for January, okay? There's that. Now, Bill Davis, the Manson dude, first of all, I was like, they're still alive, right? I'm so used to seeing the women in that case, which I think there's just one left, and she's been up for parole. They deny it. Y'all, they're never letting any of these people out. The things that these people did shocked and rocked the nation, right? And while I'm sure people can change and do this kind of stuff, it's so political, it's so troubling what they did, and these people's families are still alive, right? This is one of the most famous true crime cult murder cases there is, and they're never going to let him out. But on that note, can you imagine being 79 years old? It would almost be worse punishment to let him out, right? Now, he might have places to go, that kind of thing, but can you imagine being 79 years old and getting out into the free world? It would be like that movie with Tom Hanks, The Green Mile. Remember the guy, if you saw it? They were going to let him out, and then he was like, I'm going to cut this dude's throat because I don't know any life other than this. That whole thing, like life on the outside was harder. So there's that. So the Deor Kunz, y'all, all I have to say about that is if you have any information regarding that, please contact the phone numbers on the screen down below. That case is so sad and heartbreaking. I don't even want to sit here and get into the whole thing of, do I think this happened or that happened or they did it or they did it. I honestly do not have an opinion on that case at all. I've watched many different things on it. I don't know. I just think it's tragic. I think it's really sad. And I hope that the answers come to the surface at some point, because I think it's very bizarre. Dylan Rounds, same type thing. And one thing I forgot to mention also is that the sheriff's office is basically citing and quoting the family, but they're putting out there too, saying, please stop doing searches, please just keep it to let the cops do their job, kind of a thing. Because at this point, it's like, look, y'all are potentially messing up crime scenes, this kind of a thing. So this is what I think. And again, this is all allegedly. This is just my opinions. I'm not going to sit here and point my finger and go down any of I've looked into some of the things about, well, maybe he did this, maybe he did that. I am thinking that with what the mother's talking about of the squatter dude, and probably snapped and all that kind of stuff, y'all, the squatter dude, and again, we'll let his day in court play out, but I feel like if the investigators are saying through all this stuff, we've got enough, we're naming him as a suspect, we haven't charged him, they're getting all these different crimes going with people, I just think something happened on that property and somebody snapped, somebody lost their anger, just like what the mother was saying. Why they did it, I don't know, right? I mean, there could be a million reasons, and I don't want to speculate on that now. I just want to stick to the facts, because like so many of these cases we see that get really heated and all this different stuff comes up, and it's like, we don't know yet, right? So I just kind of want to wait to see what happens, but I'm feeling like they really are probably getting ready to hone in on like what happened. If we would get a straight answer out of that, I have no idea. Okay, now the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp debacle, I still stand by this. I think they're both incredibly toxic for one another. I think they both have their issues. And I don't think Amber can keep her name out of the streets. I think she's going to have numerous lawsuits to fight off. I think she's going to buckle down and grind her heels into the sand and not want to do it. And I think that Johnny's going to keep kind of going off and doing his Johnny Depp thing and partying, right? And doing his own thing. Probably drop this little hate album, come out with some new movies now that he's getting his, name back or whatever. But they didn't need to be a couple. They don't need to be a couple. They each need to go do their own thing and stay far away from one another. Thank God they didn't have children together, right? And on the actual articles that we're talking about, do I think that she might get a new trial? Look, I'm not a lawyer, but just me looking at it, I'm like, that's pretty major if the wrong person sat on the jury. I mean, come on, right? Do any of us want to see another trial? Well, let me say this. There's a whole bunch of content creators that would love another trial, right? Because y'all, this was Tiger King 2.0, okay? Well, 3.0 since they came out with a sequel to it. So there's that. I don't know if the internet can handle another one. Like, the bandwidth might just shut everything down, right? So there's that. Anyways, if you're still watching, thank you very much. Drop some sofas down in the comment section. Drop some hearts down for all of the victims. Don't forget to reach out. If I put phone numbers down to contact about certain cases, if you have information, be sure to reach out if you do know anything or if you think you know anything. And that's it. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Until we get around this damn podcast and computer, I'll see you soon.